The European Union has called on Israel to halt any further demolition of Palestinian property. Nearly 20 EU and British diplomats visited a Bedouin village in the occupied West Bank after Israeli forces demolished homes there for the third time, in one of the biggest actions of its kind in years. Israel says the structures were built illegally in a military firing range and says it offered residents alternative accommodation. Here's our Middle East correspondent, Tom Bateman.
We're here in the Jordan Valley in the occupied West Bank, and what you can see here is a delegation of Europeans and British heads of mission. They're effectively like ambassadors to the Palestinian Authority, and we've also had the Palestinian Prime Minister here as well. They've come because what you can see here are these tents. This is where several Palestinian Bedouin families are now living, and they're here because the structures they were living in were demolished and then seized by the Israelis. Mohammed's family have been around here for generations.
Imagine you are sitting safe in your house and they come suddenly. The trucks and the bulldozers and jeeps and a lot of security forces. They enter into your house and they destroy it in front of your kids. They leave you out in this cold weather like you see. Our soul was destroyed.
But this is actually a return for the European and British diplomats. They'd come in November after Israel's biggest demolition in years. The countries then paid to rehouse people here. Now the structures have been seized again.
This is occupied Palestinian territory. It's not possible for people to get planning permission. This was the largest or second largest demolition since 2016. So it's been a very large scale demolition in terms of structures and of people, which we think is very regrettable.
Soldiers watched on. Israel's military says the village was built illegally on a firing range and was dangerous for people. It says the residents rejected their offer to move to a nearby area. As the Palestinian PM spoke, a show of solidarity from the Europeans, what the world says matters for the West Bank.
I hope with the new administration in Washington, with this enthusiasm of our European diplomats who are present here, I think things will be different.
There is no American representative here today, though.
Well, due to some logistics, they have said they will not be able to do it, but they promised they will be with us next time.
There was a spike in demolitions by Israel at the end of the Trump years. But for people here today, things don't feel much different. Israel says the residents had agreed to leave, but changed their minds. Tom Bateman, BBC News, Kirbhat Humsa, in the occupied West Bank.